Hello everyone, I'm Keith Ware, your regional rep, and we are the folks that manufacture all your Rooke products. In today's approximately 5-minute in-service, we will detail the Rooke BK Rigid Removable Dressing. And in the packaging with the device, you're going to see the instructions for use. Of course, you've got the device. There's going to be a waist belt, there's a scissor, and then there is an extender. So the key points about the Rooke Rigid Removable BK Stump Protector is that one, it's going to provide the limb and keep it in a straight position so that your patient can eventually get fitted for a prosthesis. Secondly, because it is nicely padded, in the event that your patient falls, it gives them excellent fall protection. In fact, we're up to 29 reported falls in our device and they did not dehiss or have to go back for a revision. So that is a huge win for the patient as well as for the hospital. Plus the other factor is that it's naturally warm because it's an insulated device, and that natural warmth creates a vasodilatory cascade for that residual limb. And that boost in perfusion, because these are most often dysvascular patients, that's a really important enhancement along with fall protection and keeping that limb straight. One size fits just about everyone, and there's no left and there's no right. So it's a universal device. So that's terrific as far as an inventory standpoint. What you'll notice with the device is that this is where the patella goes. So that's the patella window, and the way that you achieve getting that patella in position based on the length of that residual limb is the use of these spacers. Typically, it's one or none of the spacers, but we provide two depending on whatever you need. You may have a transpatellar amputation. For sure, you're going to need two. But whatever you need, that's why we provide those spacers to keep that patella in that patella window, because there's a contour to this device, so you're right behind the popliteal fossa, and you keep that limb up and extended in a neutral position, but not hyperextended. You'll fold that over as you set that limb in. You'll also notice that there are trim lines. That's how we make it one size fits just about everyone, so that you can cut it down. Cut in between those double stitch lines rather than fold it. We design it that way it won't fray. Then do a gentle snug. Of course, you will have opened the whole thing as you placed your patient in it, but we have the same situation up on the thigh on your proximal end. Cut off what you don't need. If you had a patient like me, I've got really thin bird legs, you're going to be taking that to the second or third trim line. Then cut off what you don't need, do a gentle snug, put your buckles on, and then with regard to that patella pad, it says gentle. You probably can't see it through here, but it does say that on it. And what you want to do is just make contact with the skin and the patella and then Velcro on the side. And that helps prevent the patient from getting a contracture, because when they, in their pain response, when they try to bend their knee, they're going to hit that patella pad and they tend to relax and then straighten back out. This extender, in the event that you have a particularly large patient, Velcro there, you can attach it, and that's how you can then accommodate a really large thigh. The waist belt, your colleagues in physical therapy are really going to be interested in this. And I suggest anybody who's opening up and making the first fitting and application, please write the patient's name all over this. And the way that it works, open it up, wrap it around, and if this in-service is being given to the PT group, you want to be above the pannus. So I've got a little bit of a paunch, I'll come up above. I've got Velcro here, and then you just attach. That way, when your patient is rehabbing and hopping, it's going to help keep it in place so that your BK protector doesn't fall off. Then, the question always comes, well, Keith, you know, sometimes our BKs have got weepy incisions. What do we do about that? Yes, your Rooke BK stump protector is washable, but if you send it to laundry, it's never going to come back. So the best thing to do is use a breathable chuck. And in the hospital, you've got two types of chuck. You've got the really thin with plastic on the bottom. Please don't use that chuck because you're essentially wrapping that limb in plastic. It'll start to sweat and then you can have a macerated mess, and you don't want that. Go with your breathable chucks. They're big. Cut them to size, and then you can wrap around that residual limb, and that'll minimize your breakthrough bleed so that by the time they ultimately get transferred either to home or transitional care unit, there they can then take the opportunity to go ahead and wash it and quickly get it back on your patient. Another neat thing that we designed in for the Rooke BK stump protector is we can accommodate a staged guillotine amputation. So as you look at that, you may say to me, well, Keith, how do you do that? And what's neat is on the distal end cap, we have Velcro on 3 points so that you can remove that, spacer comes out, and now what you can do is have that limb keeping it straight, protected, and normally on those guillotines, they leave them open. So you can keep it that way until they go back and have their primary amputation. If by chance you're fitting a patient with a guillotine, please write your patient's name all over this distal end cap because you're going to want to be able to use it once they have their full amputation. So as a quick recap, your Rooke BK stump protector, universal, no left and no right. You want that patella to line up in that patella window, and the way that you achieve that is based on the use of those spacers. Typically, it's one or none of the spacers, but whatever you need, we provide both. Trim the excess material on both the distal and the proximal end, and then gentle application on the patella pad. Write your patient's name all over this waist belt because they tend to get tossed, so at least it becomes a little more obvious that way. And use your breathable chucks to minimize the breakthrough bleed and the ooh and goo factor that you can encounter. At the end of this video, you're going to see my cell phone and my email. I welcome your contact. Love to hear your successes, or if you've had any challenges with our device, please contact me, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.